The question is, what do I need to know before I taper?
So you need to know that you've been taking a synthetic drug, synthetic meaning that it's been synthesized, created in a lab. Like even though the neurotransmitters in the brain that the drug's affecting are natural, occurring in the body, the drug is not. The actual substance is not natural, it's synthetic. So that means, and the body knows this, so it'll recognize it as a kind of foreign substance that it'll then eventually adapt to. And that's where the whole issue of withdrawal starts with that the body is actually able to recognize it as a foreign substance, that it then starts to adapt, meaning that whatever the drug is doing to your neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline, GABA, the body will start doing the opposite. And that's what we in common language call adaptation, setting the stage for withdrawal issues when the adaptation then has to readapt. So the whole issue of tapering and why it's called tapering is that if we want to allow the body to gradually readjust to a lower dose when coming off it, we want to give the body the task in small bits and pieces. And that's where the whole idea of dose reduction comes in. So if you just stop from one day to another, the direction that the body has to change is too much. It's too much for the body to keep up with, and that's why we'd want to taper the drug gradually with small dose reductions. So if you just stop taking the drug from one day to another or taper it too fast, you risk going into withdrawal. And the whole problem of that is that the symptoms of withdrawal can mimic whatever you took the drug for. Now, the symptoms can also be completely different, new to you, unknown symptoms that are clearly withdrawal, but many of the symptoms do overlap or mimic with symptoms of psychopathology. So that sets the stage for kind of the problem. How do you know what is what then? How do you know if it's withdrawal or relapse? And the way to say control for withdrawal symptoms is to taper the drug slowly enough for the body to be able to keep up. Now, problems arise usually towards the end with the so-called lower doses, as we've figured out from a lot of brain research, that a low dose, what you would consider a low dose, and the lowest standard available dose, isn't a low dose. There's actually a lot going on in the brain at the lowest doses. So the body can detect very small changes in dose towards the end, meaning that we reach this very characteristic method called hyperbolic tapering, meaning that the dose reductions has to be smaller and smaller towards the end. Because towards the end, it means more for the system. There's a bigger difference between, say, 1 and 2 milligram of a drug than there is between 2 and 3. Even though both the reductions is 1 milligram, the reduction from 2 to 1 is bigger than the reduction from 3 to 2. So they're kind of worth more towards the end. So if you're convinced that you need the drug in like a physiological sense, that your body has some kind of deficiency that you need, and that thing you're lacking is in the drug, then you need to start working on your beliefs about the drug. We need to have a conversation about how the drugs do and don't work. Because this is not about the drugs not working per se, it's about how they work when they work. So categorizing as a drug, like as a substance, a psychoactive substance. Psychoactive just meaning anything that when you take it, it affects your thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, awareness, consciousness. Like that's the definition for psychoactive drugs. And psychiatric drugs, even though we call them medication, are first and foremost belong to the category of psychoactive drugs. So it doesn't mean that the drugs don't work, but it's definitely, if the drugs work, it's not because you lacked whatever's in the pill. These are two very different ways of working, right?
But what if I have a chemical imbalance?
Well, you don't have a chemical imbalance. There's no such thing as the neurochemistry being imbalanced. There's no such thing. They've been searching for that for 40, 50 years, and no evidence has come up. So we need to work on your beliefs about what you think the drug's doing to you and what you think the origin and nature of your condition, so to say, is.